Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SG Women Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.
What is Startup Grind? Anyone who has an idea, just put it on the chats. Whatever you think Startup Grind is or whatever you heard of, just go ahead and put it on there. Because it's a random question, all answers are invited. So that by the time I'm done with this, we'll get to know exactly what Startup Grind is. So I hope my teams are checking out the answers on there. I'm on this side of the screen. I can't see what's going on behind you. So you guys have fun on that side. Let me be lonely here. Another question mark, 3 times. And the answer is, hey, we're the world's largest community of startups, founders, innovators, creators, you name it. And we reach globally around 600 cities around the world. And that is, if you just type the name of a city and find out, do you know a Startup Grind member here, you'd find. In Kenya, we are a couple. There's a Kiambu chapter. There's one in Nairobi. We also have one in Nakuru and Kajiado. So if you're closer to any of those places, you could always reach out and find out what Startup Grind chapter is around your locality. What we do is exactly what brought you here, right? We're trying to grow an ecosystem of people who, you could easily share with your ideas or listen to. They could teach us something, 1 or 2 things. Because we understand the business industry is not that easy. You need someone to talk to help you with your journey towards your entrepreneurship or whatever idea you're working towards. Now, something that really keeps us connected and keeps us going is the values that we live by at Startup Grind. Very simple. We're all about giving, right? In fact, when we reach out to speakers, they come in because they also want to give back to what we're doing. We don't pay them, they don't pay us, right? Because it's all about trying to share what you have. So giving fast, and we're not making friends, not contacts. It's not about you taking my phone number and putting on your phone and never calling. It's a bad habit of Kenyans, call it having jewelry in your phone. And it's about helping others. Like at the moment, our speaker is just helping us with whatever she has so we could learn from them, right? And it's an interesting month this month. It's all about the women, girl child, boy child, take a back seat. So it's at this juncture that I'll give back the floor to the lovely lady, Noreen, to take over. Noreen, are you ready? That's if there's no question. Noreen?
Affirmative. Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you very much for that. Yes, indeed. That is the whole purpose of Startup Grind, to create an ecosystem where, as Larry said, we do not just take. Yeah, we actually give. We don't just make contacts, we make friends. Something that is quite important. Larry, seems you stopped sharing your screen. I'll take it away from this juncture. So it's month. SG stands for Startup Grind, is celebrating Women's Month this in the month of May. And we've come in as Startup Grind Kiambu because we don't just celebrate female entrepreneurs the world over, but I think it's important to start with celebrating our women right here at home. So every year, Startup Grind hosts the SG, or the Startup Grind Women Leaders Month, and it proudly recognizes the accomplishments of successful female leaders all over the world. And as I said earlier, not just for getting those right here on the continent, and also taking it back home to Kenya. And they do say charity begins at home, doesn't it? So this year, Startup Grind celebrates SG Women's Month, and it is proudly presented by Google for Startups and the Silicon Valley Bank. And specifically for this SG Women's Month, Startup Grind Eldoret and also Startup Grind Kiambu will be celebrating women with a flagship hashtag, Unsung Local Heroes. And this hashtag will be presenting a series of events throughout this month And it is in partnership with Have Venture, which is a dynamic learning app for women entrepreneurs in Kenya. I think they're doing some wonderful stuff in different parts of Kenya. So, sorry about that. I think, Larry, you were meant to. So, if you don't mind, Larry.
Yes, I'm trying to do it. There you go. Okay. Just a sec. This is technology. Oh my goodness. Just be lovely guest. Are we good now?
Okay, as he gets it on the road, I think women are one of the people or a community, a people group that really holds the company, the families together. And a lot of the women, it's actually noted in statistics that 80% of a woman's income actually goes back into the household. Men, we are celebrating women. Yeah. So let's not take away from what the man or the boy child actually brings on the table, but to say that this month is SG Women's Month. And as local chapters in Africa, in Kenya, we are celebrating women entrepreneurs who do their best to put food on the table and help really ensure that the family and really the economy is quite healthy. So Larry, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Just a moment. One mistake I did. I didn't share my audio. Oof. Yep, that's taken care of now. Should be good. Good. Should be. Okay, come up. Let's make my mistakes in peace. There you go.
Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SG Women Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.
Thank you very much, Larry. As I mentioned, actually, this is something that I went through earlier, that we are celebrating women, and every year SG actually celebrates women, and we're taking that on and localizing it and ensuring that we celebrate our unsung heroes. Now, in the next section, Larry, in the next section, you will see our local hashtag, and I would encourage everybody to use it. But also a shout out to our partners. These are the people who've brought this together. We have our very own and speaker, Endeleo Consulting Therapy, SIA Consultancy, Startup Circles AI, Have Venture, and obviously our Startup Grind chapters, Startup Grind Kiambu and Startup Grind Eldoret. Now, we want to know a little bit more about our main sponsor and our main partner, not sponsor, but our main partner, that's Have Venture. So, Larix, I think you'll be playing a video just to get to know what Have Venture actually does and what it can do to uplift the women in our community. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Have Venture is a mobile learning application for women entrepreneurs by Shibla Foundation for Women, and it is now available in Kenya. To get started, just download the app from Google Play Store or Apple Store and register yourself, answer a few questions, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, so on the screen, these are some of the speakers that we've had in Eldoret from time we've been in. Well, I took it over in 2015. Is it? Yes, from our and so these are convergence of all the events that we've had. So these are some of the great speakers that we've had before. I know there are those that are maybe familiar to you, but it's as simple as what you see on your screen, right? We just invite them. They have something that feel in this ecosystem they can share with us and help us grow. So they come on board, give us their knowledge, and we network with them. And hopefully, our aim is we hope that the audience really get to understand, or rather learn from whatever they get from such speakers. And so far we're also still growing, and you only grow once you have a good network of support and you have entrepreneurs around. So partnerships, sponsors, or whatever it is that you feel such a community would make use of or would be of value to, we really invite all that. So these are photos of some of the attendees we had and some of the workshops we had. You could see we look interesting, so to speak, in Eldoret. So that is a picture of one of the teams that we had, an event we had, Pat. So our aim is for you to partner with us. Well, it's an easier way for you to reach an audience that is specific and an audience that is really, focused towards whatever they're doing. And it's one, as you saw from our values, we are one group that is you can rely on, yeah, with whatever you do. And together, if we connect, we inspire change. You can never start something big if you're on your own, right? No man is an island. It's a cliche say. So that's what we're trying to put across. And touch with us. Those are our handles. We're on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. Just follow, and then it will help you keep yourself updated on what we do. Really get some wonderful opportunities coming our way. So the first priority goes to those who are part of the community, because charity begins at home. So if you're part of us, hey, why not share the bread to the person who's next to you? So Noreen's email address is that noreen@startupgrind.com. Mine is larix@startupgrind.com. Yeah, you hit us up about anything and everything you want. We'll always have someone willing to assist. Noreen, back to you. Unless there's a question.
End of my presentation.
Pause. Top that. There you go.
Excellent.
So Noreen.
So I don't know if there are any questions. Yeah, I don't know if there are any questions that you might want to ask regarding Startup Grind. I totally believe in Startup for the simple reason that it has shown us that ecosystems actually work. Ecosystems work. Leveraging on different skills and leveraging on each other can really help you create something bigger and something better. As Larix said, no man is an island. So without much further, just move on to the next section. We get to know our speaker, get to understand a little bit about the mental health arena, to understand a little bit more about what makes us tick and what keeps us moving. So at this juncture, I'd like to welcome Carmilla. Carmilla, karibu sana. So Carmilla is a counseling psychologist, but I wouldn't want, okay, fine. I guess I can do a little bit of her bio. But Carmilla is a counseling psychologist, and she works with people between the ages of 16 and 39, if I got that correctly. And she looks at empowering the youth and ensuring that they have optimized themselves and their spaces as much as they can. In Kenya, mental health is still a very new area, and we look at it as a woye, oh my gosh, oh, she's suffering from mental health, oh, woye. But the truth is we all are suffering to one degree or the other. But the difference is, when does it become dilapidating? And at that point, that's when we need to come in and do something about it. So she's been working with the youth. For those who don't know, 80% of Africa is the youth. We have everything it takes to put this world economy on the map. but we are not empowered significantly, we're not empowered appropriately. And so forums like this, building these types of ecosystems, give you that sort of visibility to be able to reach places that you otherwise wouldn't have reached. So without much further ado, Carmilla, karibu sana, welcome. Tell us a little bit more about your practice before I start hitting you with the fireside chat.
Thank you very much, Noreen. You can hear me? Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to be here at Startup Grind. And as much as I'm a counselor, I'd also like to say that I'm very big on the economic aspect of life, and that comes in with entrepreneurship. So I like both fields are of interest to me, actually. Yeah, so as you said, it's true. Carmilla, a counseling psychologist who works with young people. The main reason I focus on that age group is that it's very pivotal in the development of an identity, and also in development of a person's really mission for life. So I find that most of the time people are very confused. What course should they do and should they take up, and not just in terms of career, but also in the social circle. Sometimes there's a bit of confusion, and I was a victim of that. And that's actually what motivated me to get into this space. Yeah, so in terms of more of me, I am a Kenyan, happy and proud Kenyan, and a Pan-Africanist, I must say. I come from a family of 5 siblings. I'm the 4th out of 5, and both parents. I've been educated here in Kenya. In school, I've done both a business course and also psychology. So I enjoyed both, and I combined both in my career. Yeah, so that's a bit about me. Yeah.
A hearty round of applause for Madam Carmilla. Thank you so much for that. We thank you for even letting us know a bit more about you and how you grew up. And we're just going to go straight into the fireside and just get to know a bit more about you and how we can bring this psychology practice and business together. Now, you mentioned that you did both psychology and business. Why? Why didn't you say, let me just go with business, or let me just go with psychology?
Yeah.
What was your motivation?
So actually, this goes back to my teenage years. I remember when I was in high school, I'm a really smart lady who's all around smart, sciences, arts, and all. So the culture in my school was such that it seemed like when you do the sciences, then you're intelligent. So it seemed like it was a thing in our school. Almost everyone was doing the sciences, geography, So I did that. However, when I got to finish school, I actually got to go and see a counselor because I was having other issues. But in the process, I got to understand my identity, which was that as much as, yes, I worked hard in the sciences, my passion really was in the arts. And while choosing a course to do, there was so much confusion, a bit of, if you take psychology, you will not get a job. Utamaliza shule, go back to the house with your degree. That made me very scared. So in my choosing, I had to look for a course that would be marketable. And at the time, it seemed like a business course was marketable. And that's how I ended up in the business school. Yeah, so as I did it, I enjoyed it, but I also still had the burning passion of working with people. And when I later finished it, I knew I want to be an entrepreneur, yes, but deep down I knew I still want to work with people. So several years after that, I went back to school now to study psychology. And true indeed, those were the happiest years of my life in school when I was studying psychology, because it was more than just academics. It was actually a lot of insight, a lot of information, a lot of challenge. It was enjoyable. And now that I have both, I see how they are both important, because also as a psychologist running a business, actually the business knowledge is very important. I don't even know how I would survive if I didn't have the business knowledge. And at the same time in life, I feel that all humans have like finances to deal with, bills to pay, investments to make, and you need to have that economic literacy. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing both. It began with confusion, and then in the process, discovering myself, and then realizing that I actually need both. Yeah. Yes, Noreen.
I was sorry about that. My mic was off. So I'm glad
Oh,
that you
okay.
actually took that opportunity to look at things. The business course was marketable, so you did it. But psychology was your passion. And now you fuse them together. This
Yeah.
wonderful mix of both psychology and business. So is that how okay, what is it about what is it that made you decide that you actually wanted to go full entrepreneurship in your psychology practice? How did you get to that?
Just come again. How did I get to?
Okay, maybe I should ask this question again. So I know you
Yeah.
said you did business and then you did the psychology course. You could have
Mhm.
alternatively gone into business psychology, for example, and maybe
Mhm.
be there as a business psychologist in a particular company. So what made you venture out and decide that you actually want to take up the entrepreneurial journey?
Okay. You see, when I had experience working in the business world, I didn't have a fulfillment because it felt more of just, making profit, making money. But at the end of the day, I feel like, am I really having an impact on people's lives and also an impact in my country? I felt really no, it was just about the money. Then I mentioned that I'm a Pan Africanist. And when I look at my country, I was a bit like disturbed by a few things. One of them is how we do our voting. And the other thing is some mental issues like substance use and also depression, which is very high among the young people. It's actually like a national disaster, I would say. Yeah. So I wondered, how can I really be proactive in making a difference? And I realized that the only way to change people's behavior is to understand how they think. And the moment you're able to understand how people think, if you influence their mindset, you automatically influence their behavior. And that really prompted me to really be serious about pursuing this psychology. And for it as a business is because in life when things are free, we tend to misuse them. That's how it is. Like if you have free water, you leave the tap running. If you have like a free what money given to you, you just waste it away. But if it's a loan and you have to repay it, you're gonna be very serious with how you use it. So for me, I felt that there are many people who say they do counseling, like pastors, like teachers, like parents. But when you see how things are done, really, it's not coming from a professional point. So I felt it would be good for me to value my service so that even the person consuming it understand it, sees the value in it so that they take it seriously. But other than that, also when I look at the input that is required to be a counselor, I have to make time to really be an attentive listener to people's problems. And I usually ask people randomly, where can you just get a person who can sit for an hour and listen to you uninterrupted without looking at their phone, without veering off? It's very hard. So indeed, it's true that whatever service a counselor gives you has an input. They're giving you time. Again, when you say your issues, it's very delicate, because this is someone's life. They might commit suicide, they might get worse after a session. So it also requires me to have like a learning experience. I need to have gone to school, but at the same time, I need to take time after the session to really process what is that problem, what is the root cause, and how can I help you get better. At the same time, a room is needed for the space. Sometimes, like now with COVID, we do online sessions, internet is needed. So there's a lot of input that goes into it, which also brings the business aspect that these input are resources that are needed. And so money needs to go into to finance it so that also the process is valuable. Yeah.
I like that word, that the process is valuable, creating value, adding value. And as you said very well, time is indeed money. So if there was a way to sort of give some sort of equality to that, time is indeed money. So important to put that into perspective. You talked about creating an impact, but I'd like to get to know, or perhaps from the audience would like to get to know, we talk of mental health. Okay, in your many years of experience, what would you say is the percentage or the the number of people who are actually suffering from mental health, and more specifically entrepreneurs, because we are in an entrepreneurial forum. How has mental health affected the entrepreneur?
That's for me, Noreen, right?
Only for
okay.
you.
So, okay. I had you saying like you need people to contribute from the chat. So, with mental health and entrepreneurship, you see, entrepreneurs are actually human beings. They are people. So whatever issues affect people affect an entrepreneur. And when you're doing business is more like a relationship, So whatever your personality, your personal issues also translate into how you carry out your business and how you make decisions. And at the same time, there's something called a SWOT analysis, which we do a lot for our businesses. But SWOT analysis should also be done on yourself as an entrepreneur. Because you find that just the same way there are opportunities and threats and weaknesses in a business, they're also there in the entrepreneur. So statistics show that actually 1 in every 4 adults has a mental issue. And here in Kenya, actually, some of the leading mental issues are anxiety, depression, and substance use, And so the entrepreneurs, being humans and being here in Kenya, are not immune to it, And many times they also find that they are victims to that. And it also affects how they do their business, because you find that when business is stressful, you will need to cope, So if you're not aware of the healthy coping mechanisms, you're highly likely to choose the mechanisms that are not beneficial to you. Again, I would say that with entrepreneurship, especially with the small businesses, you find that you're a sole owner. So it means everything about that business is about you. There's this thing on the street, they say CEO means chief everything officer, meaning you're the all-round person. Wewe ndio utafanya marketing, finance, customer service, the banking, even the cleaning sometimes. And what that does, it comes with something called burnout, because really, how can one human being do all these things, And also sometimes it can be a very stressful journey because of the risk involved. Business is definitely more risky than employment, because anything can happen, And in such situations, you're prone to stress. You're prone also to mental breakdowns, especially if it's a deep-seated issue, maybe that you didn't know about, but under crisis and pressure, it is bound to come out, And there's also the thing about self-awareness. How well do you understand yourself and your health, And there's also the bit of balance, because we need to have balance. Even in psychology, we say your life is not just about finances or about your physical. You're actually a holistic human, and you need to have balance in every sector of your life. So as an entrepreneur, when you're really just focused on the business, other parts of your life may suffer, like your relationships, for example, or even how well you sleep, or even how you socialize with people, and even how you take time to relax or recreate. Yeah, so among the entrepreneurs, yes, it's a big deal, because it will affect how they make decisions. It will affect how they will handle crisis, and even competition. Sometimes if you don't believe in yourself, you have low self-esteem, your business is doing well. The moment a competitor comes in, there you are, you've given up, because probably you hadn't checked how confident or how good your self-esteem is at. So there are very many facets of our life as humans that interact with us as entrepreneurs and affect our business performance and also our the survival of the business. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And I like that plug when you said we are people at the end of the day as entrepreneurs. We are not immune to the mental health issues. Now, I want to shift the focus slightly, just for a second, to you still, Carmilla, as you.
Yeah.
You are handling one, psychology. You're getting a lot of people telling you, shedding their concerns to you. And you are also still running a business. So I can imagine it can get a little challenging for you. So how does Carmilla recharge? How does Carmilla herself, how does Carmilla check herself?
Yeah. And actually, Noreen, even as I answer that, I come from the point where I've actually done business before. Like before the counseling business, I tried to do business in a different sector, and I experienced these challenges firsthand, especially the burnout and the loneliness of knowing that I was like this phrase of every man for himself and God for us all. I said it was an entrepreneur, a sole proprietor who came up with this saying because I experienced it. Like it's you and it's you alone, Yeah. So part of how I try to recharge is through sleep. I am big on sleep. Like that's one of the ways I really recharge when I'm really stressed out or tired. I take time to really get a good night's sleep. The other things I'm very conscious of is that I enjoy sports, outdoor events. I'm really a fan of cycling and doing these team building activities that are outdoor. So I do that a lot. I also like laughing. I enjoy the XYZ show here in Kenya. It makes me laugh. And I also used to really go for plays at the theater. But because of COVID, now there are no more plays. But those were some of the things that would make me really laugh. And laughter truly is good for the heart. Even in psychology, there are hormones that it emits, which are very good actually for your mental health. So those are some of the things I do. Being introverted as well, I enjoy very intimate moments with close friends, my partner, and family. So such times are very good. And I would say, like, I remember when I was doing a business in the salon industry, I was burnt out because I didn't even have time to like sleep or interact with people. And here I am having all this to do. So from experience, yes, I would say it's important to have that balance and be able to recharge. So those are the ways I recharge, Noreen. You're asking. Yeah, those are the ways.
Like, I have some of my family members on this call, and
Uh-huh.
I, yes, I am an entrepreneur myself. I would consider myself a business person or entrepreneur, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I
Mm.
sleep like a cat. So I usually wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get sleep. So you have to, 2 minus 6 is like 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Chances are you won't sleep at 7, 8 p.m. So what I do is I sleep in two shifts. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how healthy that is or it is not. Some people on this call who are my family might think I'm also cuckoos. They actually think I'm cuckoos,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think sanely cuckoos. I don't know. With yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, sleep. I totally am with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's something definitely share. Now, I don't know
Uh-huh.
if I should ask this question. I want to ask about your best and worst experiences in your current business.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things, as a counseling psychologist and a business owner, that you felt,
Mm-hmm.
hey, hold up, it was too much? Or maybe you could share a fantastic experience as well that really keeps you going day by day by day.
Mm. I would say the happiest moments for me in my interaction with clients have been when they can actually come in for a session and let me know that they can see a change, a positive change in their life, and they can attribute it to some of the things they have been able to maybe learn or discover in the sessions. Yeah. Like I remember one time working with a teenager who was not doing very well in school, having issues communicating with the parents. And yeah, well, this is very common in teenagehood. I felt good that after several sessions, he actually had improved in his academics and had also gained the courage of tactical ways in which he can engage his parents. And when I see that, like I feel really energized to continue with this when there's impact that is actually uh, visible, and even the clients themselves can see that they have changed for the better. And I also enjoy aha moments in therapy, because this is not about advice. It's usually about just helping the clients to discover something. And I think one of the things I feel yes inside my heart is when the client just says, by the way, now I see it like I hadn't seen it. So I like those aha moments. Of the bad experiences. Well. I would say that sometimes it feels a bit challenging when it seems like the client gives up and fails to continue coming for therapy for one reason or another. Sometimes, even as a counselor, I can have the moments of wondering, okay, so what really went wrong here? Yeah, was it me? Was it them? Yeah, there are such moments which can be heartbreaking. Yeah, or sometimes it's just when it seems like the client is in a hurry to get the quick fix solution, and the reality is that counseling usually is a process that cannot happen like taking a painkiller na uchungu imeisha. It really takes a lot of time. So sometimes that can distress me a bit. However, I like one thing about my profession is that I'm learning to practice what I do in therapy. So the fact that I tell clients self-talk is important, and nowadays I find myself talking to myself quite a lot because that's what it takes to give myself positive affirmations to still show up and to still try and be better. Yeah.
I love that. We need to go off script just a little bit, and thank you for sharing that. As far as your best and worst counseling experiences, and I just want to maybe dwell a little bit on hopelessness. I know I've chosen to go the downer, but I think when you know the problem, it's 50% solved. That's my. If I know what's bugging me, then I can start working towards, mitigating that risk or that problem. So, do you find from your experience, because you work with 16 to 39, 40 maybe, how do you find that there's a lot of hopelessness in our country today? And what are some of the causes of this hopelessness?
Yeah, indeed, hopelessness is very prevalent. Even as I say that in Kenya, we are noticing in the statistics that depression is among the top 3 mental issues. And usually depression is the term that defines the hopelessness. It's actually very rampant. And in my observation and experience with clients, I feel part of it has to do with our culture of the upbringing. Because what I realize is, there's a kind of new parenting style which we call like helicopter, where you find that a parent is always ready to rescue their children out of a tough situation and eliminate all problems possible for the child, to the point that they can even ask for something expensive which they can't afford, but the parent would rather miss lunch and give the children everything they want. Now, the disadvantage of that is that when they get to teenagehood and young adulthood, they find that coping with difficulties becomes very difficult because they are used to being rescued. So their resiliency really is not at its best, and you find that nowadays it's easier for a teenager and a young adult to lose hope than it was in the earlier years. So one of the things is that the culture, and I understand that parents do this because sometimes you're like, me as a child, life was so hard, so I don't want it to be the same for my child. But in the process, there's something they're missing out, which is that resiliency and ability to cope. The other thing I would say is that, to be honest, times are a bit unpredictable, especially now with COVID. Yeah, COVID is a global thing. To me, I look at it as a crisis coming from the psychological point of view. And a crisis would be something that comes up and you're not able to cope with it using the usual means that you use, which means you really have to go back to the drawing board and see how to address it. But at the same time, you find that we have developed alternatives, especially like drugs and alcohol, that help us to go into hallucination. But at the end of the day, the problem is still here. So that is the other thing. Just the way we are used to quick fixing of things makes it harder to survive when the challenge lasts for very long. And another thing also in our current way of life is there's so much of isolation. Before, our communities were such that people would really interact a lot, visiting families, visiting friends, mtoto alikuwa wa community and everything. But right now, there's so much individuation. And we are really social beings by nature. So the more we develop practices that promote individualism, the higher the hopelessness will be. So even as we use phones and get on social media, you realize this social media is not a real interaction. If anything, we find many times whatever is posted there is not the reality on the ground. And while you're there, you're not talking to anyone. You're just on the computer looking at things. So there's a lot of isolation in our society nowadays that increases that chances of people being very hopeless because they're not interacting, yet we are social by nature. Yeah, so I would say in general, all the points I'm talking about come back to culture. How we live, how we do things has really changed, and more than not, it has resulted in a very high increase in hopelessness. Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
that would be, that would be from what I observe and also what I get to hear, like during the sessions. When you hear and listen to the whole story, track it back, ask, what's your support system like? What's your social life like? How was your upbringing? And you find that all these issues will still crop up. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. There are some questions in the chat before we kind of wind up. The first one was from Victor, and COVID-19 pandemic and the new normal of working from home affecting people, and in view of Women's Month, especially women and mothers.
Okay, so one of the things that are happening is that we are being encouraged to work from home, and for women and mothers, from my observation and the stories I've been hearing, is that it's really hard to be at home and your children are in that room and tell them, hey, don't come to this room, because mommy is at work. Because you find sometimes at their age, they probably don't even have a full understanding of, it's work time, so we should be there. Probably they'll perceive it as rejection. So that's one of the things, is that it's increasing the challenge of work-life balance, because you're like, at what point do you stop working and attend to your children? At the same time, there's elongated hours, because with working from home, it's kind of expected, like anytime you're needed, you should be on call or on phone. So the hours have become longer, which is also increasing the cases of burnout. Another thing is the interactions. At the office, you get to interact with people, talk to people, and like I said, socializing and a support system is very important. So the moment you're just secluded in your room, in your house by yourself, there are high chances you will develop a bit of loneliness, which can lead to depression as well. For the women also and the mothers, again, still the juggling of life. Here you are expected to attend to people, and your boss is here also expecting you to do your work. It becomes quite a challenge. The balance, the expectations, and the elongated working hours.
So, as much as we have said to us, any remedies, quick remedies you can say that we can do, or just a few pointers on what you think we can do or women can do to live?
So one of the important things in life and in mental health is actually awareness. You've said something about the realization of a problem is 50% solved. So awareness is very important. And with awareness comes the knowledge of where are you at and how much can you take. And also the thing about balance. So if you decide that one of the things you can do is apportion time for different things. Like if I'm expected to work like from 8 to 5, yes, do your job from 8 to 10, take the break up to 10:30, like schedule your time. That would be one of the things that can help. And as you schedule your time, you keep very strict to it. That if it gets to 5, now your phone is off and you're busy now concentrating on other parts of your life. The other thing that would help also is the thing called boundaries, where you're able to set boundaries and know that you have these different roles to play. You're a mom, you're a wife, maybe you're just a single woman, but you have another life other than the job. And set very clear boundaries even with the people you interact with. Like for me to assist you, you need to reach me between 9 and 4. And after 4, I'm not available. And to ensure that it happens, yes, switch off that phone, get out of that place. Another thing that we can try also is just getting out for fresh air. Do you know actually fresh air helps in reducing depression? Because even in countries where it's really cold like Canada, depression is rampant because of having to be indoors all the time. So another thing you can do is be proactive and have a time, like for 30 minutes every day, get out of that house, get some fresh air. Because of the isolation, now you're not meeting your workmates. You can also just now have another plan for your social life, you know. So if it will be like you say that in the evenings you're gonna be having a Zoom chat with just your friends, just to talk about things that are not about work, so that you ensure that you're still having some social interaction with people. So those three, for me, I feel would go a long way in helping us. The awareness, the boundaries, and the being very intentional on getting fresh air and some social support. Things that will keep you human and keep you sane. Yeah.
Keeping you human and keeping sane. Yeah, it just reminds me of the mental burden that sometimes we have, men and women, but I think men mostly. As you said, going back to culture, where there is the expectation that you must be this domestic goddess, and at the same time, you still have to be working. Well, not complaining, but it's. I think it's a conversation that we take further. All right, just Damaris also has a question, and so does Zepeta. So Zepeta is asking, how do you handle criticism and failure?
Criticism and failure. Okay, I would say that that is part of some of the main issues that bring about like low self-esteem, is where there's a lot of criticism in your environment. Yeah. And failure, I would say, is an unavoidable part of the human process, that at one point or another, every human has failed in at least something. So the way to handle it would be, there's a perspective we call the cognitive perspective, which is where you get in touch with your thought patterns, you know. And the two main techniques or approaches I use with that is the model of knowing that there's something about being rational and being irrational, where we say at some point in life you will act in a rational manner, and at some point you will act irrational. So when you know this, at least you can sometimes take time to laugh at yourself and be like, okay, that was so silly of me. You know, how did I even think that? But also remember that there are times you've done very smart things, even outdone yourself, and you should also keep a record of that. The other thing I would say also is having a perspective of where you look for evidence to support some of the things that you hold about yourself or other people hold about yourself. Because the truth is, many times we usually don't know the whole story of a person. We just take this one thing amefanya and we criticize them and all. So going back to your thought patterns would be a very good approach to deal with criticism and failure, where you allow yourself to be human. Sometimes you do fun fishy things, and sometimes you do normal things, and that is okay, and actually that is normal. And also the bit where you come up with evidence to support whether this thought is actually true or there's more to the story. Yeah. So it comes again with the self-talk, and also you can involve someone who is someone who's got your back, so that you evaluate a situation with them. Here in this thing, do you think I actually failed, or do you think I actually did bad? Ama, do we look at more evidence to support, like what was going on at the time? Maybe you are not in your best space, or maybe also maybe also given the information you had, that's the decision you would make. Yeah. So that's a very small tip to it, but I would say to deal with criticism and failure, we go back to our thought process and allow ourselves to be human, and also allow ourselves to analyze the situation objectively. Yeah. So I know this is not easy, because to be honest, it is not easy, but it's something that you can learn as you go. Yeah.
Some jump
Yes, Noreen. I also feel like yeah. No, I just wanted to say that there are things that could be complex, and I would be open to have a further engagement with the person who asked the question. Yeah. Yeah, because I take it it's not very easy to deal with criticism and failure, but it is something that you can learn because you will need it even in future, you know. Yeah.
Just before you go into your, so what do you do just on an off day? Like, client comes in,
Uh-huh.
you just like you're human at the end of the day, you have your ups and downs. So when you're off, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I would like to say that one big thing about the counseling profession is we are encouraged to go for counseling sessions ourselves because statistics show that sometimes the people who commit suicide the most are actually counselors when they listen to people's problems without attending to their own problems. So for me, the moment I discovered this, I made it very intentional that every single week, I actually go for something called supervision, where it's now me going to interact with another counselor who's more experienced than me and be able to present some of the challenges I'm having. And anytime I realize my awareness is very heightened that I'm not going through a good moment, I actually do take breaks to go for my own personal sessions. Yeah. So sometimes people imagine that counselors are like we have it all together. That is actually not the truth. I also have moments of feeling low, sometimes having self-doubt, and I tell you, I literally go for counseling myself to ensure that I just keep sane. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And any parting
Noreen,
shots?
sorry. Noreen, I'm forced to jump into that last statement. So you say you go to counseling yourself. Do you find yourself judging the other counselor as maybe they're doing it in a way that's way below how you do it, or what?
Uh, yeah, to be honest, Larry, yes, it has happened to me. I've been in sessions where I'm like, hey, this counselor is so good. I actually want them. I mean, I want to get to where they are. And there are times where I'm like, this counselor, are you for serious? This is my session and they're talking about themselves, you know? Or when they choose a technique and I'm like, there, and to me, I hit theory, you know? So it's true, yeah. During sessions, sometimes I get to start thinking and wondering and analyzing or evaluating the counselor. It happens, but not all the time, but yes, it does happen. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like as much as we are saying that, it's still just the way you prefer one doctor to the other. There are some doctors you will gel with, and there are others you're just like, sasa huyu ananiambia nini?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I think even with psychology, I think it's the same thing. You go in
Yeah.
and you feel, we're not gelling here, or this person is not understanding. And
Yeah.
out here, that's I think some of the greatest challenges for somebody wanting to engage in therapy, because they're like, okay, so who do I go to? And that brings me to maybe
Yeah.
one of the last questions. What avenues would you suggest for entrepreneurs to seek these types of therapy sessions? You know, we are still people, but I think with entrepreneurs, there are some unique needs. As you said, we have a lot of burnout, and it's almost every day you have to wake yourself up and tell you, you've got to do this. You've got to get up and actually do this. So, what avenues do we have to tap into people or somebody or a program that actually caters for mental health entrepreneurs?
Noreen, actually, with Startup Grind, I feel this is actually a good space that gives a support. We are big on these things called support groups according to people's needs. And I think this is one space where we as entrepreneurs can take advantage of. Like in a support group, you come in and you are in the same predicament. We are all entrepreneurs, and these are the challenges we are having. And over there, you can be able to get some insight, some encouragement, some moral support. On the other end, I would like to say that, like I said at the beginning, that entrepreneurs are human. It's very important to be able to know that your life can be or is split into different things. Just the way we are saying, as a woman, you have a role as a mother, as a wife. You also have a role as a professional. So the same way, as much as you're an entrepreneur, don't lose track that you're also human. You might be an entrepreneur who has low self-esteem. That means you need to go for therapy for that, because it will definitely affect some of the ways in which you run your business. You could be an entrepreneur who's going through trauma or going through loss and grief, So I would not advise that you seek a person who's very specifically dealing with entrepreneurs, but I would suggest that you identify what is the area you're struggling with and look for a professional who specializes in that area, so that if it is loss that you're going through affecting your business, yes, go for the loss and grief. If it's a trauma you had in your life you're still struggling with, go for that. But remember, as much as you're an entrepreneur, you're a human facing the same problems as other humans who might not be entrepreneurs. I hope that makes sense, Noreen. Does it? Or would you need further clarification?
Oh no, actually,
Yeah.
from my own cognitive ability, I feel like what you have told me is you have a bone problem, you go to an orthopedic. You have a heart problem, you go to a cardiologist. So the same way in psychology, if I have an issue with grief, I could go to a grief counselor. If I have an issue with another part of psychology that I feel, look up those who are specific, or they are specialized in those areas. Children's psychology, for example, adolescent psychology, depending on which area. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Some parting
And
shots?
also, I just wanted to say that when I began as a counselor, I used to feel like when I'm in my family setup, I need to be the one who has it all together, who knows all the answers, who never overreacts. But I actually learned that, as much as I'm a counselor, I need to know, in this scenario, am I engaging with people as their counselor or as their sister? Because if I'm their sister then I'm not there to be their counselor, I'm there to be their sister, and I'm free to be me. So also, I would say the same thing for the entrepreneur. Yes, you're an entrepreneur, but the moment you go for counseling now, you're not here as Mimi, the CEO, or so and so. You just go there, Mimi CEO, here, Mimi, Ngami. I'm a woman and I'm here, So I would encourage the entrepreneurs that when you have challenges, maybe society is admiring you, or this one who started this company and everything. But the moment you go for therapy, you lose all those titles, and now you're just there as a client who is a woman or a man with this and this issue that needs addressing. Yeah.
I love that. So what a kiburi inje. You let the professionals do their job. You do what needs to be done and accept and see how best you can optimize yourself. Parting shots.
Yeah.
Carmilla.
Oh, okay. I really enjoyed getting to know more about Startup Grind. This is something I definitely need to be a part of. Yeah. I have been wondering, where can entrepreneurs have forums to grow, like Kenyan forums that are about Kenyan issues, And this is the place. I will be very happy to be among the champions who let other entrepreneurs know that there's such a forum. And one thing I've liked most about your values is where you say we are here to make friends, not contacts. That is the thing that catched me most about the introduction of Startup Grind. I like it because it's not a surface kind of interaction. It's very deep, and I love that. My parting shot would be that, okay, that's part of my parting shot. But to add on, I would say that mental health and entrepreneurship cannot or should not be separated. They actually go hand in hand, because the better your mental health, the better your performance as an entrepreneur. The better decisions you make, the better you'll be able to deal with crisis, and even the higher your creativity will be, so that you even become more outstanding in your field. So as we continue in the journey of entrepreneurship, I'd like to say that let's not separate, but let's always know that mental health has a very direct impact on how we perform and how how sustainable we are as entrepreneurs. And for me, I will still continue with combining the two, business and psychology. They're important in life, not just for me and Camilla, but for the whole human race, because money really is part and parcel of what we need to know and understand in life, and so is our mental health. Yeah, so I guess that will be it. Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity. Yeah. Yeah, I need to say one more thing. I have to market.
But
I have to market my. Mhm.
I was going to ask you, where can we find you?
Yeah, that's just what I've remembered that I need to say. That Endeleo Counselling, I do online therapy and physical therapy. So on Mondays and Thursdays, I do the online therapy. You can reach me through my number. Okay, let me say, I have an Instagram page and Facebook, so you can engage with me there on the inbox, and we'll be able to get back to you. And then on Saturdays, I have the physical appointments in Nairobi CBD KICC building between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. So it's Endeleo Counselling Therapy. You may follow on social media, and you can get my contact from Noreen or Larry for you or your family member who is interested. And like you had said, this is not for washe. It's not a washe thing coming for therapy. It's actually for those who are ready to be the best version of themselves, and those who are courageous enough to face who they are, both the good and the bad, and work on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Wonderful. A round of applause for Camilla. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, I think it's important. I like what you have said. It is for the courageous, the people who know that they want to do better, they want to be better because they know better and do something about it to optimize themselves. So thank you. Thank you so much, Camilla, for this. Thank you for taking time. Thank you for educating us, which is pretty much this platform, what we do at Startup Grind. Thank you so much for educating us and really telling us, you know, we are still people as entrepreneurs, and there is help. We can get help. And thank you for also letting us know where we can find you. You said Monday and Wednesday you do counseling online. Is that correct?
Monday and Thursday.
Monday and Thursday. Monday and Thursday you do counseling online, and obviously you can reach me, or you can even follow which is Endeleo Counselling Therapy.
Endeleo Counselling
Endeleo
Therapy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Her up on her different social media handles, and obviously if you need her number, we can definitely give it to you. So thank you, Camilla. Larix, over to you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was some awesome content you gave us, Camilla. Really appreciate it. One thing maybe all of you wouldn't know, Camilla and I, we come from way back. I worked with Camilla in some institution before, and we were good friends. Now is when I understand why we became good friends. She was using me for her therapy session because she knows I'm an entertainer by nature. So, but yeah, which is good. I mean, yeah, I'm not complaining. I liked our interaction. She was unique in the sense that we'd really have some debates that, sorry to say this, coming from a lady, it looked different how Camilla would explain it. You remember we used to have this, Camilla, right? Because she was always on the boy, you know, when all the ladies were ganging up against us. So it was just the type of conversation that was different, I would say. But she's quite a good friend, and really appreciate, Camilla, for you creating time to be with us. And for the audience, I hope you picked quite a lot. I see somebody asking if you offer pro bono services. But that's not a business model. But anyhow, that's for you and Camilla to decide.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is quite something, and really appreciate Startup Grind. We really value such things, such kind of people who are just willing to give back to the community, you know. And as audience, if you still have an itchy question, this is the moment where you could just sneak it into the chat, because we are winding this up. And so if you want to also be part of this, we're trying to make this month, the SG Women Month, something unique, especially in Kenya, something unique at Startup Grind. So we are holding series of events. Yeah. So this is the first of, oh, Camilla, you're the very first, the pioneer of this series, which is awesome. So you guys can keep tabs. You're very welcome. Everybody here can keep tabs with how our series moves. The next event should be up and ready by where we'll work that out. But if you could follow any of our chapters and our social medias, you'll be updated. And all this is because we believe COVID has taught us that we really need to bring out those local people doing great things that maybe the mainstream media wouldn't reach out to them. So we have the platform. So we're trying to pull them out of this area. It could be you who is in the audience that you'd like to be part of this. We welcome you. It could be somebody you know that you think this would be something that you should really be, shared with those people who want to hear. So bring them to us. We don't charge anything. We just need your time, patience, and cooperation and interaction. Like after this event, we are all friends. I mean, if you see the name Larix, very simple, difficult. Just pretend like we've known each other like 10 years, okay? So with that said, I don't know, Noreen, if you have anything to wind up with.
I do.
Yes.
I really want to find out if we've been paying attention to what was said. And this is something I learned from another forum. I want to it's about what was discussed today. Yeah. I want to find out if we can have a trivia. Okay. I think some things have already been seen, but it's okay. Be able to see the screen? Just type in the chat. Larry, I'll request that you be my chat master, just so that I can.
Okay.
I cannot see the screen, obviously. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah,
I hope you can all
okay.
see the trivia. If you can see the trivia, just type in 1, like the number 1. If you can see the screen, just type in the number 1, like 1. Yeah. All right. So it reads Tisa Trivia. Do we have ones on the screen?
Yes, they're coming. They're rolling in quick and fast. Rahab
Okay.
just rolled in. Diana did hers. And the rest
All right.
Typing still. Yes.
So we'll have an exam. I don't know if there's going to be a gift, but definitely we'll have a bit of an exam here. So if you can just put it in the group, in the chat, or I don't know if guys can unmute, but put it in the chat. What is Startup Grind? What did you learn from today's session, in your own words, of what Startup Grind is? Let's get some responses, just in your own words.
I'm looking. I'm the invigilator. I'm looking at this. I'm angry. Come on, make me proud, people. Right?
What is Startup Grind in your own words?
TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. Cricket moments. Nobody. Okay, people are still typing, so let's give them time to type. Correct their pronunciation. Number 1, somebody Zipeta says Startup Grind is a platform for all entrepreneurs to learn, share, network. Next person. This is simple. Are we writing essays? Come on.
It is a bit of an essay question, though.
Yeah. Oh, there goes another. Startup Grind is a global community that gives startups everywhere the education, opportunities, and access they need to build, grow, and scale their company business. These are the type of people who used to cram exam, and then
I'd like to know who wrote that, though. Who wrote that?
It's Victor. Okay, they cram exam, and then once the exam is done, they forget everything. Diana says, a community where entrepreneurs network, learn, and find opportunities to grow. My kind of student. Keep going. Victor, see me in the staff room. I'm not sure if that answer was from your head.
I think with all of it that's coming through, indeed, yes. Startup Grind is, first of all, the world's largest community of startups, founders, innovators, and creators. We do have over 3.5 million individuals, 2 million individuals, and we have over 600 chapters around the world, especially in the big cities. Just type in wherever you are, and I mean wherever. Frankfurt, Startup Grind Frankfurt, it's there. Startup Grind Helsinki, it's there. Startup Grind Nairobi, it's there. Startup Grind Kiambu, because it's slowly becoming a city in its own self, it's there. Startup Grind Eldoret, definitely there in a big way.
We are city already, we're just not ratified yet.
Yeah, excellent. So which Startup Grind chapters are represented here in today's session?
Come on, people, this should be simple. It should be simple. Coming from, come on, I'll give you a hint. They ran. Oh, they say repeat the question.
Which startup grind chapters are represented in this session?
I see somebody put something down. Okay. Okay. Usual suspects. Anybody else? The answer's coming in. I'm waiting for my A students. Oh man, she's silent. My A student didn't answer. Somebody asked me to pick them. Corruption. Anywho, yeah, so I have Eldoret and Kiambu. Diana, I was waiting for you. It's all right. It's cool. Keep going.
Yes, indeed. Startup Grind Kambu, and obviously Startup Grind Eldoret, which is the host of this session. And thank you so much, Larix. What is Startup Grind celebrating in the month of May?
Oh, come on, people. In the month of May, what is Startup Grind celebrating? It's a series of events. Come on. Come on. Okay. Okay. Some are guessing. Okay. Weird answers coming in. Come on.
Maybe
My
you can
class.
just say you're celebrating me. It's fine. I mean, really,
Oof,
it's
okay,
it's
there
really
you go, Narine. Diana, this one too? Okay, fine. Okay, I lost Diana as my monitor. So I have the first answer from Zipeta says SG women and she guesses. The next one from Victor says unsung heroines. Okay. I don't know. Teacher, you decide which answer is correct. Does an interpretation of an answer, like, should it be the right answer or they interpret it? Somebody says. Yeah.
in
Like,
English.
should the answer be an exact answer or
Just
a
give me your thoughts.
definition of your answer? Okay,
Give
I'm
me
just asking the
your thoughts.
examiner. Okay, so yeah, I have those two. Yeah, well, there you go. Give us the answer, Noreen.
Okay, cool. We are actually celebrating female entrepreneurs around the world, including Kenya. Obviously, that's what we are celebrating in the month of May. And what's our local hashtag for this month? I think this is where Victor's answers may be, might not be guesswork.
Noreen, I have a complaint from the other class member. They're saying, why am I insisting on Zipeta? Zipeta and Victor are very competitive. Why am I insisting on Diana? Diana, come on, back me up. Oh, Camilla says Diana is my teacher's pet. Okay, fine. Just saying. Sorry. Do your next question.
What is our local hashtag for this month? Actually, in politics, my friend, 2022 is
Yes.
still around the corner. It's still far. What is our
Yeah.
local hashtag for this month?
Our local hashtag. Come on. Come on. My student. Diana. CDF money came your
Diane.
way. Okay, it's Diane. Oh, yes, Diane. Sorry. Pardon me for that. So we have, okay, Diane says no pressure. She's still typing. Give her time. Okay, cool. Hashtags, we have unsung heroines. Hashtag SG women. That's from Victor. And then Zipeta says hashtag SG women. And then we got part of my typos. Oh, well, I don't think anybody got your question right.
Local hashtag is actually unsung local
Local
heroes.
heroes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unsung local heroes and hashtag SG Women Month.
Yes.
Kind of have them together. Excellent. Now, Jaza Pengo, this was something that our psychologist said today. When handling criticism, we could utilize dash perspective, which is how you speak to yourself. For those paying attention, when handling criticism, we could utilize the dash perspective, which is how you speak to yourself. Camilla, you are automatically disqualified.
Yes, please. She already wanted to put in her answer. Okay, I got Zipeta saying cognitive perspective. Victor says cognitive perspective. Oh, Diane came in and says cognitive. Okay. Thank you for coming back.
Excellent. Yes, cognitive perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is how you cognitively speak to yourself. I feel like a psychologist right now, but I'm not. And what is the name of Camilla's practice?
This should be easy. Come on. Diane says she's back. Come on. What's the name of Camilla's practice? Diane goes with Endeleo. You know, in exam when you give a short answer and then it's a biology exam and the teacher be like, "What you talking about?" Okay, ain't right. Okay, I got Zipeta saying Endeleo Counselling Therapy. Victor says Endeleo, but misspelled the word counseling. I don't know if that is allowed. Zipeta tells me to twang a bit, so that should be counseling therapy. Oh, Diane got it, Endeleo Counseling Therapy. And because I have a favorite student, teacher, you decide who got it right.
Teacher's pet got it right, Endeleo Counselling Therapy. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gents, I would just like to say thank you so much from Startup Grind Kiambu and our host, Larix from Startup Grind Eldoret. Asante Sana. I think my session is basically up, so I'll hand this session over. And thanks for having me. It was awesome. So, and
thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Thank you, everybody who came in. And if you ever come to Eldoret, please highlight your boy, man. I mean, Eldoret is growing. We're no longer working on that. At least we have Shamba, yes, but hey, we have roads now. And we have a mall. Something that's a mall, yes. So you're all welcome. With that said, I think we've reached the end of our event, unless anybody has anything burning question, burning issue. I really appreciate you.
I was wondering
hey.
you could give the audiences an opportunity to tell us who they are. Maybe you could give them the right, just to their microphones and maybe and let them tell us who they are and which area they're logging in. Take home for people.
Okay, so if you'd like to maybe say something, let's throw it in the chat so that I could have some order. Either way, I could try go one by one. Let me see if our student will speak. I'll start with her. Hiyo ndo ubaya kwa mwalimu kukujua sana. So no. Anybody? Victor would like to say something. Okay, I'll look for Victor. Come on, you could say something. Go ahead. Oh, Diana is also on there. Anybody else? Just throw your name in the chat, so whatever, and then I'll allow you on to speak. In the meantime, ladies first. Diane, say something.
No pressure, right? Teacher's pet.
No
Let me see if my video can. I don't have a very good computer at the moment. Noreen, I'm sure, knows that. Okay, you see, the video is not even clear. Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm Diane Wanja, and I'm logging in from Kiambu County, the one and only place to be. Okay, I lie. I lie. But I am placed here right now, and my take home, I think, was especially what Carmilla said. You know, the struggles that entrepreneurs go through, and particularly the part about, you know, when the hopelessness. Yes, I think that's a question that Noreen asked Carmilla about hopelessness and what happens next. You know, we are living in very difficult times. So yeah, there are many things I took home from that discussion in particular. And yeah, and it was lovely. Thank you, Carmilla. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diane. That was awesome of you. You make your teacher proud. I'll keep on making sure your grades are high and high. Legally, not illegally. Okay, and Victor, come on, go ahead. The floor is yours. Victor, can you hear me? Victor or anybody else? Nobody wants to speak. So Zipeta says she can only do it via chat. So yeah, she appreciates it. And I think at this juncture, if there is nothing else, we do, let me release people to go and enjoy Idul Mubarak. Idul Fitr. Yeah, and really enjoy your holiday. And I see Noreen is way ahead of us, but it's all right. We'll catch up. I got my cup of tea too. So as you can see, Startup Grind is not all about being too crazy and serious. We also have, Dan is also having her beverage. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Have a good night. Stay blessed.